good? So I'm back with another motherfucking video, and so today I'm gonna be making an experience working for Marshalls. Okay, and this is a quick disclaimer before I get into it. Like, this is my experience working at my Marshalls. I cannot speak for every other Marshalls. I can't speak about you guys' experience because it seems like every single time I make a video and I'm talking about my experience working somewhere, like, I always have those few people that are like, oh well, this never happened at mine. That's great, and I love you guys' feedback, and I love that you guys are interacting with me, but just know, like, this is my experience. So, like, don't try and take what I'm saying and, like, you know, invalidate it because your experience was different from mine. Anyway, so let's get straight into the video. So I wrote down some points here so I don't make it too long because I know I ramble a lot in my fucking videos. How did I get the job? So I got the job in June, I believe. Yeah, in June, or was it July? No, maybe it was August, bitch. I think I got the job in August because I wasn't even here. And basically, I was working for Home Goods first. And if you guys didn't know, Home Goods is a family company with Marshalls. So TJ Maxx, Sierra Trading Post, Home Goods, Marshalls, they are all connected. So I was working at the Home Goods and I ended up having to do an emergency move anyways. So I ended up coming up here and I applied to the Marshalls. The same day I applied, I ended up getting an email from the hiring manager asking me to call them to schedule an interview. And the funny thing is, like, I called them and I set up the interview and everything, but like, Home Goods had called me because I hadn't quit Home Goods yet, and they had called me and they were like, you know, the roof had collapsed. Basically, the roof collapsed at Home Goods, so everybody weren't fired, but they all had to move anyways. So I guess it was like God's plan. It was perfect timing anyways because everybody was transferring to the next location, which was like an hour away from the location I was working at, and where I moved was an hour away anyways, and there were no other Home Goods by where I'm at now. So that's why I applied to Marshalls. But they reached back to me very fast. And when I did the application and everything online, like, I did put that I used to work at Home Goods, so I think that really helped me a lot too. I'm not saying they won't hire people without, like, having experience in their sister companies, but I think that it is an advantage. So the interview process now. So I had got the email and they basically tell you in the email, call the store to set up your interview. I called the store and I actually spoke to the direct person, and she was like really nice over the phone. She was very happy that I called her right away. She was like, you're really on it already, so that was good pointers for me. And she told me to come in 3 p.m. the next day for my interview, and I think 3 p.m. it was on Friday. So I went in, and that time, like, I didn't even have my car, so I had to get a ride. Went there for my interview. The first time she was not even there, and it really pissed me off because, like, I spent my time getting ready, getting dressed for my interview, doing my little research. I always look on YouTube and research places, like, in other people's experiences before I go further in my application. And so I did all that. I got a ride from my stepmom, and she wasn't even there, which was really annoying. They told me to come back at 3 p.m. the next day because she works that day. And so did it all over again, and this time she was there. So the interview process was not like, it wasn't a big interview. I think that's because they seen on my application I already worked at Home Goods, because the interview process was really fast. I was in there for like probably like 10 to 15 minutes. I went in the back. I had to wait for her a little bit, then I went in the back, and it was just a one-on-one with me and her. The only thing she really asked me about was like if I had any retail experience. So I told her yes, I had a little bit of retail experience, but at the time I wasn't working at Home Goods for super long, so they knew that I wasn't like experienced, but I had some type of experience. Then she had me speak with not the GM but another store manager, and they really just needed people anyway, so I felt like they would have hired anyone. And the main thing that they were concerned about was me taking my pay cut. So my pay cut, now in this pay, I guess it depends on the area, because when I worked at Home Goods, I was making $13 an hour. That's the minimum wage in the county that I was living in. Here I moved and the minimum wage here is $10 an hour because it's not that expensive to live up here. So she was like, yeah, the pay here, I thought I had another job up here too, and like the pay was $11. So the pay was $10.10, but at the time, like, I just lost my job and I needed to save up some money anyways, so I was like, I'll take the pay cut. But I will say this, that is not what's supposed to happen. Technically, they hired me in as a transfer, not as a new applicant, because I worked at the Home Goods. And what you can do, because this happened with my ex, like, they transferred him to the same company in this location, same location I was working in, and they transferred his pay, so he still got paid $13 an hour. For me, like, if I called corporate and everything, they probably could have transferred my pay, but I didn't know that until somebody that worked there was like, girl, you're supposed to be getting paid more, they're supposed to transfer your pay, yada yada yada. And they probably would have done it, but they were just trying to finesse my ass, and I fell for it. Anyways, I needed the job, and it is what it is. The pay, the good thing about the pay, even though it was $10 an hour, was you get paid weekly. So you don't have to wait bi-weekly for your checks. You get paid every Friday. And I never really logged in or anything and saw how they did my taxes. I'm pretty sure they just transferred all my tax information from Home Goods, but they didn't transfer my pay, which is fucked up, but it is what it is. So you get paid weekly if you work at Marshall's, and the pay here was $10. But if you probably worked at where I was working at before, the pay varies, and it would have probably been $13 an hour. And in the interview, they basically hired me on the spot. They were like, okay, we're gonna do some paperwork, whatever, and then I'm in the system. And so literally, like, the next week, I had to wait a couple days. The next week she called me and she asked me to come in with a full 9-to-5 schedule. Like, they put you on a big ass, like, they give you good hours, but the thing is, like, when you're only getting paid $10 an hour and you're working for so long, it feels like a waste of time, because the amount of work they make you do at Marshall's is definitely worth more than 10-10. Dress code there was, you have no uniform. This is what they told me when I first started working there, and it kind of fucked me up, because this is the lanyard you guys have to wear. You see my name is on it, Kelsey, and this is the lanyard. It's just an I love surprises and a Marshall's lanyard. They have a bunch of these in the back, and they told me that we don't have uniform. Obviously you can't wear anything too revealing, can't wear anything too scandalous, but everybody there, like, was wearing open-toed shoes. Like, that's the first job I've ever had where you can wear, like, sandals. They wore a lot of flip-flops, a lot of sandals. They were wearing a lot of capris, you know, a lot of just regular shit. So then with me, I wore, what did I wear one day? I never wore nothing too revealing, but the first time I wore something, they sent me home, I wore shorts, and I wore a t-shirt and some sneakers. The shorts were not booty shorts, they were like capri shorts. They were just a little bit up my knee. So like they sent me home. Like, as soon as I came in, she literally told me, like, I hope you're not coming to work in that. Or no, she didn't tell me I hope you're not coming to work. She told me I hope that you're not working today. And I was like, well, bitch, it's like 9 a.m. Why wouldn't I be coming to work? Like, I wouldn't just be here to see you. And she was like, well, you can't wear that. And so what pissed me off was during the interview, and even after like my first day, I was like, what's the uniform? Because when I seen everybody wearing flip-flops and everything, I've never had a job like where you can do that. I've just got more into retail because I'm so used to working in food, and I know in food you have to wear like closed-toed shoes. So like, I've never been to a job where you can wear flip-flops and you can wear like tank tops and you can do all that. But everybody else could but me. So she sent me home and expected me to come back. But bitch, the thing is, like, the job was 22 minutes away from my house and I was not driving and I had to get rides. So I'm not gonna do that. You should have told me what's the dress code when I asked you guys what is the dress code, and you guys told me there's no dress code, just nothing too revealing, and make sure you have your name tag in your lanyard. So after that, the next dress code incident happened. I was wearing a sweater. And it was like a graphic sweater and it had words on it. I think it said like no worries. And she was like, you can't wear graphic tees. Okay. And she didn't tell me till the end of my shift, which it was like, if you're gonna sit there and let me work throughout the whole shift and not say anything, you should have told me from when you saw it so I know. Then the next incident happened. Like, after all these incidents, I started being really cautious with my dressing, and so I wore a Nike hoodie. Literally, it was a purple Nike hoodie. It just had a check on it, and it was jeans and some black sneakers. I wore that to work. She pulled me to the office after that and she was like, you can't wear logos of other brands. And I was like, what the fuck? It's literally all I was wearing was a purple sweatshirt with a Nike check mark. So I felt like at that point she just wanted to fuck with me because no other managers was telling me about like my dress code or anything like that. Like every other manager, like they never said nothing was wrong but her. And so at this point, like, I've changed my outfit like how many times. And mind you, the first time I went to work there, I wore a navy blue Nike shirt and it said Nike and it had the check mark, and nobody said anything to me. So now I'm wearing a purple hoodie and it has a gold Nike check mark, and you guys like feeling some type of way about it, you know what I'm saying? So that was kind of some bullshit. And then after that, like, I just was tired of hearing her voice. And I think she said something again another time, like, but I was just like over it. Like, I was tired of hearing her voice, and I just was wearing like a black shirt, because at that point, if you're gonna be that picky about the uniform and then you're gonna tell me from jump that there's not really a uniform or a dress code, you guys should have a uniform, because y'all not gonna keep sending me home. And mind you, when they sent me home, they wanted me to come back in, and when I didn't, they never called me or anything, and they were just like, oh, why didn't you show up? Because you sent me home. Like, I came ready to work, I came on time, and you sent me home. Another thing was like attendance. So this Marshalls was really strict on attendance, as every job should be, but literally, like, they didn't understand. Like, I live far as fuck from where I was working, and like the people that had to give me rides were very undependable. So like I would get to work, but I would get to work, like, if my shift was at 8 o'clock, I would get in at 8:02. They would literally bitch at me and threaten, like, to fire me, because they're like, well, you're gonna eventually get written up, yada yada. And I was like, I was 2 minutes late. Like, we don't even do anything yet. Like, I still have to punch in literally at 8:02. My shift is at 8 o'clock. What's the big fucking deal that you guys want to, like, threaten to fire somebody? And they're like, well, it's still late. So they were really big on attendance and being on time, and they didn't really care. I told them my situation and they didn't really give a fuck. So you have to get there on literally 8 o'clock sharp, probably 7:50. They told me like I should be there 10 minutes earlier than my shift. And a lot of jobs that I've been to, like when I first started working, I used to come in really early and try to clock in early, and they'd be like, no, you have to wait till the exact time. So at the end of the day, I think things like that, like if I had the transportation that was like dependable, like I would get there sharp or 5 minutes early. But if my shift is at 8 o'clock and I get there at 8:02, it's not really your concern, because it's my paycheck, you know, that's 2 minutes out of my shift. But it is what it is. Environment. So there was literally 4 black people that worked there, including myself. So there's only 3 other black people. It was me, another teenage girl, an older lady, she was in the fitting room, and the loss prevention manager. There wasn't a lot of diversity there. There was probably 1 Asian lady, and then the rest, everybody else was white. Like, there was no diversity. Also, majority of the people there, they were all older white people. they weren't like younger. So like they were very like stern, they were very strict. And I like, when I work, like I get my job done and that's that. Like I'm not there to be your best friend, I'm not there to kiki with you, I'm there to complete my shift as soon as possible and get paid for it and go the fuck home. So like a lot of the people there though, like they felt really entitled when they were talking to me. Like I was new, so I didn't know a lot of stuff. But I caught on to stuff really good, and like some of them ended up really liking me, and I know they're probably hurt as fuck that I left. Like the lady in the shoe department, I trained with her once and I got it down like that, and she wanted me to work with her because like she was telling me everybody that comes, like they always go. And that's why most of the people there are older people, because like they got nothing else to do, or like they've been there, they leave and they come back. Bitch, I'm not trying to work at Marshall's forever. So how they would talk to me sometimes, it's like they were managers but they weren't the fucking manager, and they would like try and boss me around and do this and that. And I'm not the type for confrontation, especially at work. So I would just go in the break room or in my bathroom. Like I didn't give a fuck. But the environment, yeah, they were very strict, stern. One thing that I didn't really like too much was like when you have to close, you have to wait for everybody. And I guess that's a whole retail thing, like because it was the same situation when I was working at Home Goods. You have to wait for everybody to be done. You can't finish your task. Like you have your departments that you have to clean up and make sure are organized or whatnot, but you cannot leave if you're finished and everybody else is done. You have to help them because you're depending on them to be finished in order for you to go. And when everybody is done, then you can, like, you have to wait at the door still, and you have to wait for the manager, and then you have to wait for the door to beep. Then once it beeps, you have to leave together, and even after you leave the building, you have to wait in front of the building for another beep for some security precaution. I don't know what the fuck. And that was really annoying because a lot of the people, like I said, they were very old, and like it was like Marshall's was their life. Like this was their career, which to each their own, but this is not like my career for the rest of my life. So like they were too fucking serious about it. You know those people that take their job too motherfucking seriously? That's exactly how they were. And they didn't really put me for closing a lot after that happened. I didn't complain, but I didn't like it because when I finished my job, like it's not my job to help all y'all. Everybody would be kikiing and whatever because this is it. But no, bitch, I'm trying to go home. The next thing, when you leave, they have to check your bags, which I didn't mind. I understood why, but that's just a heads up. Like if you work at Marshall's, they did it at Home Goods too. Not if you're leaving during the day, but if you're leaving during like nighttime, they have to check your bags to make sure that you didn't steal anything. And then like if they see something, that's a whole nother situation. Another thing, they were really big about theft there. Like too big about it. Like bitch, I'm not the police. So that's why you have LP, that's why you have loss prevention, that's why you have police officers. Like they're too strict about it. Not in the sense where like the training or anything was strict, but like some of the people would take it upon themselves, and I've seen them racially profile a lot of people. Like if you come in, you got a hoodie on and you're black. If you come in, it's more than one person. Like there would be this bitch always there, she was Middle Eastern, and she was like always profiling somebody, and she used to tell me, oh, she's on it. But like half the time, like the people weren't even stealing and they didn't see them pick up anything. They would just be like, oh, this person came in and they're watching them. And we also have like walkie-talkies, so mind you, I hear every single thing that they're saying, and I thought it was fucked up. Like my job is to stalk this shit and ring up people. Like my job, I'm not a police officer, so I'm not doing all that. But they do offer some type of reward. Like if you catch somebody stealing, like a customer, and they stop stealing, they put it down because they notice that you're following them or you're eyeing them, they'll give you $25 added to your check. And if you catch an employee stealing and it's proven, they will give you $300 added to your check. So they do that because you're helping out the company, which is cool. And like the bitches there would be like, oh, I've done both. Like I'm not like doing the most with that. The next thing was the credit cards. You had to like make people sign up for credit cards, and they were really big on that. They had the TJX credit cards. Now, a lot of people do not want to sign up for a fucking credit card, okay? And like the thing is, like, I would ask people and they'll be like no, and I'd be like, okay, cool, have a good day, keep ringing them up. But they wanted me to force people, and you cannot force nobody to fucking be in debt and sign up for a credit card. So I didn't really like that. That was my thing. When I worked at Home Goods, we didn't have to push the whole credit card thing. But when I worked at, well, we had credit cards, but they weren't like on it like that. Like, they understood that if somebody was like no, then they're like no. They don't ever want you to keep bugging the customer out to the point where the customer gets agitated that you're asking them to sign up for a credit card. So, but here they were like, you know what, if they say no, keep telling them facts. And like when they were training me, like the girl kept doing it. Like she was like, do you want to sign up for a credit card? The man was like no. She was like, oh, you can save this, you can do this and that, and he was like no. And she kept going. And like that's why a lot of people don't even want to come to your store. Like if people come, they come to shop, that's the long part, and then the checkout part is easy, and they want to go home. Like they don't want to be badgered. So when they have something, like they like, even for like donations and stuff, they want you to badger them, and that was not me. And they noticed that I wasn't like that, and they used to get on me all the time because like I would ask people and people would be like no, and I'd be like okay, like if you want to. I've had people that want one that just come up to me, and I've had people where I've asked them and they're like yes, but if you're gonna tell me no, I'm not gonna keep on bugging you, because that's not what you're here for, not to sign up for a damn credit card. So yeah, the only good thing that I think I really liked at Marshall's though was the break room. They had a really nice break room. You know, you have to have a code for it, they'll give it to you. And in the break room they had this, like, it's called like a pantry. Basically they give you free food if you don't have lunch. Like it's not like super expensive luxury food, but they'll give you like mac and cheese cups, or like noodles or soups or oatmeal. There's bread there to make sandwiches. So that was really good. I took advantage of that because I don't really eat a lot anyways. And a lot of times, like, also I didn't have like a ride, so I couldn't go anywhere to get lunch. So if you didn't have lunch, that was like the one thing that I really liked at the job, and I thought that was very like considerate, because a lot of people don't have like the transportation or money to go get lunch. Other thing in the break room that I like they have the fridge. Like that was the first job that I had like a really good break room. When I worked at Chipotle, there was like not a break room. When I worked at Corner Bakery, there was not a break room. When I worked at Outback, there was not a break room. So it was like Home Goods had a break room and it was nice, but Marshall's, because they had that free food and it was a little bit bigger, they have lockers, they have hangers, so they really put a lot into the break room. They also have like this reach program, so if you find like tags, because people know how to finesse, like you can take a tag from something and label it something else or hang it to something else, and then they only charge you for that price. So a lot of times when people did returns and stuff, we had to do like an item lookup just to make sure it's in the system. Home Goods, we didn't do all that. Like you just have the receipt and you do the return, and that's that. Here they take a bunch of extra precautions, I guess because theft is really high, but at the end of the day, like I said, we're not the police, so I'm not gonna be doing the fucking most, okay, for no fucking company that's only paying me $10 an hour. The task that I did, so I was a merchandising associate. Like I really did everything. They didn't have me at a specific place because I wasn't working there for so long, so they had me training everywhere. They had me stocking up the men's department, the kids department. They had me ringing on register, of course. They had me doing the home department. They basically had me doing everything except for the fitting room and layaway. So basically what you have to do, and this is why I'm saying like this is why I left, because they make you do a lot of things for $10 an hour, okay? And I don't mind doing the work, but the environment like just was not for me. I didn't feel super comfortable, and the tasks were a lot. So like They basically, you take stuff from like the warehouse or like the back room, and you just, it's already labeled, it's already had stickers and everything, and you just put it on the floor. That's one main task. They call you on the walkie-talkie all the time to go back and forth on the register. Like, you'll be doing that, then they'll be like, go on the register, then they'll send you back out. It's a lot of back and forth. So if you don't like to run a lot, if you don't like to walk around a lot, then it's not for you, because literally you're going to be moving up and down. So they had me doing a lot of cashier, but they didn't have me too much on cash, because they want people that are going to nag you about credit cards. Like, I was good at cash, but I was not nagging them. And another thing about cash, when you're on cash, they want you to, you know how you have to use that marker to check $100s and $50 bills? They want you to do it for every $20 bill. You have to pull out the pen and mark it. And they also want you to put all your money faced up, meaning like the president's face is the one that has to be up. And like, that is too motherfucking time consuming, okay? So I didn't fuck with that shit. But they mostly had me doing like stocking. For the shoe department, is shoe processing. You basically put tags, you put security sensors on the shoes, organize them, put them out. The warehouse, it was taking stuff out boxes and putting them on crates with the correct department. So like, I don't think that the task itself were complicated. Like, I was pretty good at the task. A lot of people liked me and were like, it was a lot of back and forth. It was a lot of running up and down. It was a lot of go here, go here, go here. Everything has security sensors. If people wanted like to look at a bag, we had to take it out the sensors, bring it to the cashier. They had to wait. The most thing they were big on, like I said, was stocking, theft, putting on sensors. So it was not hard to do. It wasn't impossible, but it was a lot. Like, they want you to do like 20 tasks within 1 hour, and you're there for like 8. So you get the J. So now, like, that's kind of getting into why I left. Like I told you, the task, the dress code thing really pissed me off. I felt like the manager that did that, she was low-key racist. Like, she would like be watching me all the time. Like, for whatever reason, she always had her eye on me. She wanted something to say, but she never had shit to say. She would like every time I was joking with the other manager, because the other managers loved me, okay? And every time I was joking with the other black manager, like, I remember one time all my nails popped off. And I was like, you know, I was on register and all my nails broke off because I did my own acrylics that day and the glue was really cheap. And like, everybody's laughing, kikiing, and then this bitch, like, they tell her for whatever reason, and the first thing this bitch says is, oh, I hope it didn't drop into any of the customers' bags. And then I'm like, what? And she said it again and she laughed. Like, she was trying to be funny, but bitch, it's not funny. It's not funny. So it's not funny, bitch. So that really pissed me off. And I left because the pay was super low. They make you do the most. She yelled at me for wearing that Nike hoodie, and then she had the nerve to tell me, oh, you can't wear hoodies. Oh yeah, the next incident was I wore a different hoodie. This hoodie didn't have any graphic tees or anything, but she was like, you can't wear sweatshirts. And I was like, what the fuck? Because there was this white girl who used to, like, she worked there a little bit longer than me, for like 4 months or so, and like all she used to wear was Huaraches, light blue jeans, and a gray hoodie, like a gray zip up hoodie, and she never said shit to her. And when I first started working there, I wore my navy blue zip up hoodie. So how all of a sudden, you know, you can't wear motherfucking hoodies? And so then, like, a couple days after, she had complained at me about it, because when she said that, I was like, oh my god, like, what is it now? She kind of caught the vibe, and then she kind of wanted me to kiss her ass, like, be very grateful she didn't send me home. And she was like, well, I'm not gonna send you home today, but, and I was like, okay, thanks, like, the fuck. And so, like, then 2 days later, I guess she told the girl that used to always wear, like, the gray hoodie that she can't wear hoodies either. And I think that she did that to cover her ass, so I couldn't go and call anybody and be like, yo, like, that's racist. Like, how you gonna come and tell me I can't wear this when you have your whole team wearing flip-flops and hoodies and you don't say shit to them, right? So that girl, she ended up quitting too, and I ended up looking for a different job, and like everything happened good timing because now I'm a supervisor and I'm making way fucking more than $10 a motherfucking hour, bitch. So I'm getting paid the most that I've ever been paid. And I like my job a lot more now. It's not the thing where like retail is bad, because I used to work for Ross too, and I will leave a story time on that. And like I loved working at Ross. It wasn't that hard, it wasn't that complicated. Like I also got hired at JC Penney, so that's what I'm saying, retail wasn't hard. I just think that it was that environment. I don't want to be overdoing anything and not even getting paid for what it's worth. Plus they take out like a shitload of taxes too. That's my experience working for Marshalls. That I hope that helped you guys. If you're deciding to work there or not, that is completely up to you. I will say, like, the only benefit that I really can say I liked is that you got paid weekly, and that you get like the free food in the break room. Even when people, they would have like little holidays and stuff, or like little days where they would try and plan fun events where you get like they'll have like taco days and stuff, but they still make you pay for the food like that you bring in. So I mean, it wasn't really for me. The dress code and shit, they might try and size your head up and say, oh, there's no dress code, but bitch, best believe there is. I didn't really like working there. I think it was like, aside, the worst job I've ever worked at was Outback. And aside from that, I think it's the second worst job I've ever worked at. But that's to each his own. I don't want to hear no, oh, she's being negative. Bitch, I'm telling the truth. Okay, so make sure that you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Comment if you worked at Marshalls and experienced any of this shit before. I don't give a fuck if people are like, oh no, it didn't happen, because like literally that same girl, she quit too. Like we all quit because nobody likes to fucking work there. But that's just my Marshalls too. It could be different for y'all. So I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.